Hey guys, welcome to Channel 2S. I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and it's time for some Gunpla news. The main focus of today's episode will be on Dengeki Hobby's most recent batch of snap-built kit image galleries. But before we get into that, there's a couple other things I want to talk about too. So the first kit of the day we'll be looking at is a Gundam-based Tokyo exclusive. This is a clear color variant of the high-grade Universal Century BR Land. Now this is an interesting choice, not my first choice of models to make a clear color variant of, but it is a recent release, and that's actually about it. I really can't think of any other reason why they do this. Anyways, if you want one of these, it's going to be available starting on November 22nd. You'll also be able to pick up yourself a clear color Momo Haro while you're there, so if you want even more Haros for your collection, there you go. Whoa, hey, don't mind me, just a mysterious stranger from the future come to tell you that there's actually a couple more clear kits coming out. The kits I just talked about are not the only clear color kits we're going to be seeing. We're also going to be seeing two more Gundam-based Tokyo exclusive clear color variants. One of them is the real grade 00 Quanta Full Saber, and the other is the high grade Universal Century Garibaldi Beta. Apparently the qualifications for getting a clear color model have expanded from being piloted by a main character to just having a kit that exists that's relatively new. I like the Quanta Full Saber a lot, but then again I also liked the original Quanta Full Saber, so I can't really say the clear colors are doing much for it. Alright, that's enough future second for today, or future second for yesterday. As a parting gift, I'm going to leave you with really grainy pictures of the Gbn Guard Frame and 00 Sky Trans Am Heavy Weapon System box art. And now it's time for me to disappear into the abyss. Future second out. Gundam Narrative's release is fast approaching, and even though we already know a lot about this movie, there's still a couple things Bandai's keeping under wraps. At a recent Gundam-based Tokyo exhibit dedicated to Gundam Narrative, they showed off a whole bunch of the kind of like those front and back animation model shots of all the mobile suits we've seen so far for the movie, but there were also a couple panels just marked secret. One of these panels was placed among the images of the narrative Gundam, leading many people to suggest, myself included since it seems like a pretty obvious conclusion to make, that there is going to be a narrative Gundam Type C, or a C-Pack. Now we don't know what this is yet. I'm assuming it's going to probably tie in some significant way to the plot of the movie, and as a result they haven't shown it to us yet. There was also a second secret mobile suit that they haven't quite shown yet. You can see right here that is placed underneath the DJ and next to the Gbn and the Gustav Karl. Now there's not a whole lot you can infer from this, except maybe since the two on the left are Federation suits, this might be a second Zeon suit. Maybe, but that's a pretty far stretch. There's really not much else I can say about it right now. And speaking of narrative, and also I guess kind of speaking of clear color kits as well, because apparently we're still not done with those, we will be getting clear color variants of the high-grade Phoenix Destroy mode and the high-grade Sonanju Stein narrative version as the usual type of theatrical exclusives that you can expect to see with any kind of Gundam theatrical movie or OVA release. What I'm reading right now is that the Sonanju Stein's coming out on the 30th, and the Phoenix is coming out on the 3rd. But I think that might be a typo and they might both be coming out on the 30th. Okay, so I did a little bit of research and it looks like the Phoenix actually did come out on the 3rd and it is already out and available for purchase. And it is now time for the main course of this delicious Gunpla meal. So, the first of these Dengeki Hobby galleries we'll be looking at today is of the Gbn Intercept Custom, which is a kit that is actually already out. You can go out and get yourself one of these right now. I'm going to throw the box art up on the screen right about now. Boom, there you go. I guess it's okay. I'm not really a big fan of it myself. I can't say I'm a fan of the kit either. It really doesn't have a whole lot going in its favor. The whole thing that made the original Intercept Custom cool was it had this really neat backpack that it combined with. And you don't get that here. It's just a purple and bone white GM with a RoboCop visor. No cool shield like the Guard Custom, no cool rifle like the Sniper Custom, just a really boring GM. Although at this point it really shouldn't surprise me that the most mundane and boring Gundam the Origin kits are the ones that get retail releases. Next up we got the high resolution model Gundam Astray Red Frame. Now I've already talked about the proportions on this kit and how I don't like them, and actually pretty much everyone doesn't like them. I'm sure there's people out there that are interested in this kit, but I can't really get into it at all. If you look past the bizarre proportions, I guess the detailing on this is okay. We are seeing it with the sticker decals on it for the first time, I believe, and they do have some nice additions to them, like some Sakura blossoms on his shoulder pad. Now his rifle does look pretty interesting. I definitely don't remember the standard Red Frame's gun looking like that. It looks like it might even have some kind of fold-out mechanism in the barrel. Actually, never mind. I was looking at the way the barrel is shaped and I was thinking maybe that lower part of it could flip forward and connect to the front, but it doesn't look like there's any kind of hinge there. At least the swords look really nice. Just like on the Master Grade, he does have the names of his swords engraved onto the base of the blades. And it does certainly look like it's a posable kit, just not something that I would ever want to have in my collection. Man, the 00 Sky Heavy Weapon System Trans Am Infinity mode looks better and better every time I see this kit. I was a little hesitant about pre-ordering a third copy of the 00 Sky, but I think this one's going to be a winner. The colors on this are really cool. It's very reminiscent of the Trans Am kits from 00, except everything's purple. Looking at the straight build here, I am definitely liking how this looks. The weapons are really cool. He's got a great silhouette. I can't wait for this to come out. Unfortunately, I won't have long to wait either because it is coming out later this month. Also coming out this month from Build Divers is the Gbn Guard Frame. So the Guard Frame looks to be a mostly new mold, although from what I remember it does reuse the joint parts from the Leopardo da Vinci and the Jim. The point this suit tries to get across is bare bones simplicity, and it definitely accomplishes that. This is a very simplistic mobile suit. However, I do commend it on its ability to still look stylish and cool despite having nothing at all going on in its design. Like with the Leo NPD, they give you a few different head options. So for the head itself, we got two different base head designs, one that's got kind of a rounded off dome helmet visor, and then the other one that's got more of like a wireframe cockpit. The dome visor I think looks a lot better with this particular model, but the wireframe cockpit could be pretty cool if the right customizer got their hands on it. The heads also come with two different options for the visor. You can give them a clear blue visor, or you can give them what looks like a solid black visor. The Gbn Guard Frame's main and seemingly only weapon is a small pistol that has a barrel extension that can be attached to it to turn it into a full-sized rifle. Overall, it does seem a little bit bare bones for a 1500 to 1600 yen kit, but that is what they sold the Jim for, and I bought that kit, so who am I to complain? Narrative Gundam with APAC. I'm finding it really hard to get into this kit. To be completely fair to the thing, it does look like it has pretty nice color separation out of the box, and the beam effects for the cannons are definitely a nice touch. But the more of this kit I see, especially when I see how the mobile armor breaks down and realize it's kind of just a bunch of clumps of stuff clamped onto the Narrative Gundam, at least it looks like that. It doesn't look like the mobile armor has its own separate form. It looks like it's just stuff on the Narrative Gundam. The Narrative Gundam itself, though, looks alright. He does appear to have single jointed elbows, but there are some pretty cool mechanical functions in his torso and waist that I believe I talked about in the last episode of Gunpla News that should give him a little extra articulation. Oh, and one really cool thing that I actually noticed a while ago about the Narrative Gundam, but I don't think I've brought it up before, is that the main torso part, like the abdomen section, the cockpit, looks a lot like the RX-78's core fighter. I don't think it's actually a detachable core fighter, but the resemblance is definitely intentional. So when I was talking about the Trans Am Infinity 00 Sky, I talked about how it looks so cool in these new images and how it just reaffirmed my confidence in it being a cool kit that was worth pre-ordering. I can kind of almost say the opposite about the H2 Magnum SV. I still like the H2 Magnum design, but seeing the actual plastic colors the kit's going to come in is turning me off a little bit. I don't remember exactly what the initial images we saw this were, but I was definitely remembering it being a lot more white, while this looks to be about 50-50 white and gray. And you could argue that that's better for color separation, and I would kind of agree with you, but I almost think this kit would look better if all the gray parts were white, and he was just white head to toe with a few little splashes of color here and there. Of course, I could always pick up one of these anyways and just splash a little paint on it. Oh, and the flight mode does look pretty cool. And turning right back around, the high-grade Build Divers Shining Gundam Break looks awesome. I had very little interest in this kit when I first saw pictures of it. It really didn't do anything at all to grab my attention, but now that I'm seeing pictures of the actual model in hand, or as close to in hand as I can experience right now, I am really liking it. I think my favorite part of the design might actually be the red wings underneath the shield. That tiny little sliver of red that you see from the front and the massive wash of red on the back really grabs my attention. The flight mode does still look kind of dumb since they force a non-transforming mobile suit to transform, but I still kind of like it. Okay, so Mobile Doll Sarah. With these type of kits, the first thing I look at is the face, and the face on this one looks alright. I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite humanoid face I've seen on model, but it's certainly not as bad as something like the Super Fumina. I kind of like how she looks with the mechanical face better. It almost reminds me of something you'd see from Kotobukiya. The high-grade Universal Sentry Dija is looking about as cool as a high-grade Dija could. I'm not super into this one just because I don't like how it doesn't have as much detail as the Re-100, but since it's a high grade, that's kind of to be expected. It still looks really nice for a 1/144th though, and I don't think it'll look at all out of place with the other Zeta high grades. They did a great job recreating the fins on the back, and this is actually pretty cool. They even got the face right. So for those who don't know, the DJ actually has a pair of traditional Gundam eyes behind its mono eye. And the face piece for the high-grade DJ actually has those eyes sculpted in. Now this isn't a completely new feature, they did do this on the Re-100 as well to my knowledge, but it's still a nice surprise to see it here on the high grade. The cross silhouette Phoenix is a cross silhouette Phoenix. That's about all I can say about it. It doesn't have gold plating, obviously, although I'm sure there will be some kind of plated version released in the future. So the gold doesn't look that great, and it doesn't transform, but everything else about it looks as fantastic as you could expect from a cross silhouette SD. I've got this video planned out that I might make soon that's kind of an overview of the whole cross silhouette line where I talk about how awesome it is, but right now, all I can tell you is that these are pretty much the best SD Gundams that Bandai's ever made. Then again, this Phoenix can't transform and the BB Senshi one can, so it's a bit of a trade-off. So funnily enough, just a couple days before these pictures dropped, I was just thinking about how we hadn't really seen a lot of the real grade full armor unicorn, especially considering it's coming out pretty soon in December. Worry not though, because Dengeki Hobby has blessed us with a full gallery. The color separation on the new parts for this kit looks really nice. I am a lot more confident in this kit's ability to just support its own weight than I was in the master grade. And we may very well see a repeat of that with the real grade, but with how rock solid the base model is, I highly doubt it. I can't remember if this was a feature on the other full armor unicorn kits, but on this one you can actually take the tip of the beam javelin and attach it to the underside of his beam magnum like a bayonet. That's pretty cool. And finally, here's a shot of all the weapons you get with this kit just so you can see how much cool stuff he comes with. I'm almost tempted to get one of these just for those awesome Gatling guns. So I've heard that the Perfect Grade 007 sword will have some new internal parts that are supposedly going to improve it over the 00 Riser. For now, I think we'll have to wait until the kit comes out to actually see if that'll be the case, but from these images right now, we can at least see what the outside of the kit looks like. And it looks okay. It's a perfect grade, so it's got a lot of detail. And I'm sure that for the few people that really wanted a perfect grade 007 sword, this is going to be a pretty exciting kit. Re-100 Gun Easy looks mean. I don't know what it is about these pictures, but something about the angle they're showing this kit at just makes it look aggressive, violent, and angry. The colors are dark, the edges are sharp, there's lots of detail in this kit. This thing makes that old 1/100 gun blast door kit look like straight garbage. And I'm saying that as someone who actually kind of likes the old 1/100 scale kits. There's a pair of opening hatches on the chest that reveal both a pair of missiles and a beam saber. That was a nice little trick that the old kit didn't have. And it also looks like the kit will come with a pair of optional parts that can be used to replace those compartments should you not want them on the kit. Okay, so moving on to P Bandai and other limited edition models. The Q-Blade Damned is still a kit that I really don't like looking at or thinking about or talking about, but I'm going to try to get through this anyway. So it's completely unpainted, as you can see here. It is an old master grade, so it's not going to have a lot of detail. The hands do look a lot nicer than I originally thought, as much as it hurts me to say that. It looks like there's at least a couple joints in this finger and possibly full articulation. The Federation Colors Master Grade Jinx looks pretty much like the Outlaws colored one, but it's gray. I mean, that's basically what I said about last time, but now we can see it as an actual snap-built model, and yeah, they look pretty much the same. Quest Pariah's Yakdoga does look really nice. I love the detailing on this kit despite what some other people have said about it. I am a bit partial to this version in particular, since I have always had a liking for Quest Pariah's colors over Gane's. The Gazu twins are looking pretty nice too. The silver looks fine. Their combining Beam Naginata Beam Saber fusion weapons are pretty cool, and they just look like a fun set overall. And that wraps up the new images from Dengeki Hobby for November 2018. There were a few other images in the article as well, but I tossed those out because I already talked about them last time. So as you can see, we got some pretty awesome new kits coming down the pipeline. Thanks for watching this episode of Gunpla News. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, and as always, I'm your host Second Soundwave, and I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.